All right, so we are here for the SPAA's Author Academy podcast. My name is Jay Collins, and I am joined by the beautiful Miss Lucille Usher Freeman. Lucille!
Hey, Jay. Hey, Jay. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast today. It's a pleasure.
It is my honor. As talented and accomplished as you are, as a writer and just a good overall person, I'm honored to be here with you today. So if you can, take us to the beginning. How did you even get into writing in the first place?
Jay, I think I was born to write. People have to find a purpose. And I picked up a pencil at 6, and the teacher told me to write a cleanup slogan. I wrote a whole cleanup story. And instead of her reprimanding me, she published it in the school newspaper, my first time being published. And I still got a certificate for a great cleanup slogan because she did show me what to do. So it goes way back. So from then, as a child, I just started a diary and writing, and I just expressed myself through writing forever. So my purpose was there as a child.
Wow. Okay. So I know you started early on, and what was it, age 6 with the slogan story. So from age 6 going into how you began to publish your first articles and pieces for magazines, and then eventually a book. How did that unfold?
It unfolded one brick and one opportunity at the time. Okay. And I'm going to add one divine opportunity at the time. And because when someone offered me a chance to write, it was like, hey, I'll do it. What do you want me to write? So I wrote for the community newspaper, the Beverly Review, the Southtown Economist. And sometimes they paid me very little, maybe $15 an article to write. And I covered events in the community. So I started on a small level for me. And at one point, I found myself at the Chicago Defender. And I was the editor for the women's section. And that exposed me a lot because, again, the community was larger. So I went out into the community and I had a great time writing. I did some traveling to write. I met the famous Oprah Winfrey and Danny Glover and Sinbad. And I was able to go behind the stage and interview people and Gwendolyn Brooks. And so it was just a great experience. The scripture says our gifts will make room for us, and it will put us among great men. And so that's sort of what my writing gift did for me. And I was doing just in what I enjoyed doing and what I think my divine purpose was.
Okay. So I need some stories, Lucille. You mentioned a lot of people. What's the most interesting story when you were covering these different events and people that you've met?
Well, I know you've seen the picture of me with Oprah because you said, oh, Oprah's your best friend. No, she wasn't my best friend. But at the time, by being a reporter at the Chicago Defender, I got a chance to go to a lot of events, including when she opened a restaurant. And I thought she was interesting because she was climbing then. She was climbing. She was probably a millionaire, not a billion with the B, a millionaire. But I watched her and I said, oh, she's very, I liked what she was doing. So the interesting story is when I was at this event with all the celebrities and Oprah, and one of the other journalists put his arm around me and Oprah, and he said, you need to take a picture because people will not believe the people you're meeting. And I was meeting them because I was in my purpose. I was in doing what I was supposed to divinely do, which was to write. Farrakhan's daughter got married, and I was at the wedding. When I walked in, they knew me. They said, "Oh, Lucille Usher Freeman from the Defenders here." And they knew. I went to the reception. I covered so much. And it was just a wonderful experience, but it wasn't about the people you meet. It's about you doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then the opportunities and the doors open. And so I was writing.
Okay. So you were writing and covering different events for the Chicago Defender. How did you go from that to, okay, I'm going to write and publish my first book?
Okay, I always wanted to publish my first book, but I was doing a lot of writing. And as I said, I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was sure having the ball. So at one point, being a single parent, I decided to go back to school. And when I went back to school and trying to maintain the household, I ended up teaching for the public school system. And I taught writing too as part of my career, but then I sort of got off track. And so, but while I was teaching, because my heart was in the writing world, I had an opportunity through Pastor Mike always talks about relationship building. I built a relationship with a girl who was published independently and with mainstream. And so she started showing me the ropes. I knew about writing for magazines and newspapers, books I did not know. So she said, "Hey, let me introduce you to the book world, different type of writing." So she took me a mentor, and I think it's important to join groups like SPAA or find your mentor. So she mentored me. She took me to the American Book Association event. And because of her, she told me, "Oh, you need to go to this 2-week program." And they gave me a scholarship for going to Stanford Professional Publishing course at Stanford University. But it's because she knew the ropes. So then we thought about, I said, "Well, show me how to do a professional book proposal." And we started on that. And then she looked at me and said, "Well, why are we doing a sample? We could be doing the real thing." And so out of that came a book called Stretch Your Wings while I was teaching for teens. And I was working with teens.
Hold it over a little bit, Lucille.
Stretch Your Wings, famous Black quotations for teens. Because I knew some of the teens needed something they could read. They needed to know about their history. And I was in the classroom, so I combined the two, the book publishing world with the kids. Now, I came up with the idea to do the book, and she took me through the doors as far as publishing. And she went through with me, both our names on here. Okay. But we really made decent money because her attitude was, they made an offer to us, and her thing was, "I can't write for that amount." They doubled it. And she said, and I would have taken the first offer. And then she said, "I can't do that." Then they doubled it again. On Friday, they said, "Wait until Monday." No, I wasn't doing it for the money, but I made a lot of money on doing this. But not only that, it opened doors. They wrote about it, a lot of magazines, newspapers, Essence, and all over the United States. I went in the airport. The book was in the airport. The book was in Barnes and Noble. And I would get invitations to go and speak in American Library Association because I did a book. The book becomes your calling card. It still opens doors for me because at that point, there were not as many Blacks in the mainstream industry. And a major publisher, Little Brown, which is the Time Warner people, picked it up. So that was like wow to me too. when people were calling me, can you come here? Can you do this? So Jay, that brought up something else, which was from the page to the stage. Now I was comfortable being in the background, but when
Tammy.
Like Tammy, but when people started bringing you on the stage, that was a place I wasn't comfortable, but I continued to say yeah. And I was telling Pastor Mike that Ragdale, which is a creative community, and they are people that it's in Lake Forest, and they asked you to come and they gave me a room, and my job was just for weeks, so just create because of the book. They fed you, they had someone to clean your room, they have someone to cook for you every day. And your job is just to create. It's a creative community, not just for writers, but for people that are artists or compose symphonies, but just a small community, Ragdale. And I just enjoyed it. I thought, Lord, really? Thank you.
Wow. That is phenomenal, Miss Lucille. Oh, wow.
It's just been a great ride.
It really sounds like it. So I guess my next question is, can you identify for us some of your inspirations when you write or just in life?
Life is you said it, Jay. Life is your inspiration. The things that happen to you in life. Again, I was teaching and the teens, and I was saying, hey, what are some of your issues? And safety is in the book from years ago because they didn't feel safe. And you could see why now it has escalated violence in the society. But what's your inspiration? Inspiration is when you go through a divorce. Your inspiration is if a loved one dies. Inspiration is when someone rejects you, you feel like a failure, or you're having inspirations all around us. Stories are always coming at us. And so it's up to you to take lemons, make them into lemonade, take tomatoes, and make it into ketchup.
Okay. All right. I get now. How many books have you written?
How many books have I written? Well, I'm in SPAA's collaborations, which Seeds of Truth and Overcome. SPAA has really been great for me. I've done children's book with my grandkids. I'm still writing.
Okay.
I've done Today My Sister's Getting Married. It's on Amazon, Silly Caterpillar. I've done hats, which these are kids' books. Meanwhile, the one recently I did, I call this my pandemic book, Jobless, the one you said you carry around, Jay.
Yes.
So, yay, thank you, Jay. But that's been the recent book. Right now I'm working on a fiction book, and it's for women fiction.
Okay.
And so, and that should be in less than a month, the first draft should be out and the editor should be looking at it. So I'm moving a little fast now because I've been moving a little slow, Jay, to be honest.
Well, it's in cycles. I understand. So I want to talk about your current book, Jobless, Loving What You Do, which is one of my personal favorites. You say that's your pandemic book. I need a little more in-depth, Lucille, because this is what I call, I think you think I'm joking, but when I say this is life-changing, I really, really mean that, because the different points and things that you highlight, I don't know about anybody else, it causes me to think and to kind of prioritize and get myself together. So that's why I say it's life-changing. What inspired you? I would think years and years, but you tell me.
What inspired me to write the book? Because I found myself in the dilemma of wanting to leave a full-time job and taking back my life, taking back my time, and not being a slave to the time clock. So that's what made me, it's like, I don't belong in a 9-to-5 job. So maybe you changed through the years, and maybe at one point it was okay, but I got so, nope, I can't do this any longer. So I had to pray, get a plan, and make a decision and tell myself it's okay, that it's time for a change. And so, as I said to you earlier, Jay, sometimes it's not all done in one season or 2 or 3, but it starts with the mindset when you know, hey, it's time for me to go.
Got you. So wait a minute, I want to highlight something and ask the inspiration behind it. So one of the things that I love about your book now, Jobless, you have so many different quotes. And now that I realize you wrote the book, the quotes for teens, and I have to pick that up as well because I can't wait. But one of my favorite quotes, because I carry a book around, and so I'm always putting tidbits. This is one of my favorites. Do what you love, you'll be better at it. It sounds pretty simple, but you'd be surprised how many people don't get this one right away. So I was on the train going to work, and I kept reading and rereading and rereading until the light bulb went off. It was there, but I wasn't paying attention enough, but it still grabbed me. And that's a quote that you use from LL Cool J.
Okay.
What inspired that? It's like, I would never have even thought you would be quoting LL Cool J.
Well, when your heart is searching for a way out, then you pick up little tidbits here and there. And Jobless started off as a journal. It was not a book. It started out a journal to give me permission to leave my job, to do the affirmations, to talk to myself. And a journal said, it's okay. And so I read books, and some of these quotes came from some of the books I was reading about, it's okay. I had to tell myself, it is okay. And you can do it, and take the blinders off and look at other people who were doing it instead of listening to people who said, oh, you can't do that. And some of those people were people close to me. I had to say, nope, can't hear that. Because right now, that's the direction my spirit was going in, and God was calling me to, being independent. It doesn't mean being jobless, doesn't mean not having an income, being broke.
Right.
Actually, honestly, I've made more money not working than working, because I did start a couple of businesses. But jobless was me giving myself permission to go in a different direction, Jay.
Okay. Wait, I've got one more quote. This is from my favorite chapter of the entire book. I won't name the chapter by the book, but it's chapter 7. And this is the quote. It starts off with the scripture that you referenced earlier, which is from Proverbs 18 and 16. And it says, it is a powerful statement. A man's gift makes room for him. And then it goes on to say, you were designed to be known for your gift. So I could actually stop right there, but I'm not preaching, so I'm going to keep going. And so you go on to say, to quote, God has put a gift or talent into every person that the world will make room for. It is this gift that will enable you to fulfill your vision. It will make a way for you in life. It is in exercising this gift that you will find real fulfillment, purpose, and contentment in your work. And that's a quote from Dr. Miles Monroe, The Principles and Power of Vision. Lucille, if I had a highlighter, I don't even think you'd be able to read because I just go through. So, and I read chapter 7. I'm not going to tell the title, excuse me, but I read it because what caught my attention is the title of the chapter. And so many times when you are working for someone else, you always looking at that clock so you can punch out. You know, you're always looking. Is it time? Is it time?
Right.
How did you come to gather these great quotes from various people and things and ways and sayings to put together? Because that one right there, yeah.
We look for wisdom, Jay. It's around us. They said success leaves breadcrumbs. And so we can't ignore the breadcrumbs. They're there. So you look around and how did I gather them? From a lot of people. And you said LL Cool J. Hey, if he says something that, hey, sparks a light in me, fine. You know, I don't care if it's wisdom. I think wisdom, as Proverbs would say, is something good to get, better than gold and silver. Wisdom, so it is a good thing, you know. So what can you say, Jay? It's all around us. We just have to open our hearts and be ready to receive it. One thing, I'll go back to jobless again. I think it's important for us to start lining our lives and our minds up to being jobless. That means you can't go and buy the designer bags or the red heel, the red sole shoes. You've got to say, on pay off my bills, on put up money to fund whatever direction you think you're going in. You've got to start, even if it's in baby steps, you've got to start moving towards what you want. And even the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you was still, again, a gift, and me moving. The baby steps are good, whether it's moving to joblessness or writing. Baby steps. This is a writing podcast. And how do you write? Little at the time. Everything's done. Don't despise small beginnings. The breadcrumbs. Swiss cheese task, whether it's becoming jobless or writing your book.
Very good, Miss Lucille. I appreciate those words of wisdom. So what I want to do now is I want to ask a couple more questions, and these are real simple ones. Your favorite book of all time, what is that?
Well, of all times.
Should I go
That's
top
a
3?
hard one. I can do 3.
Okay, top 3.
Top 3. I'd like a book called by Kristen Anderson, The Little Match Girl.
Okay.
And that's about a little girl that did not have much, and she struggled and she was homeless, and she ended up actually freezing to death. I like that because it lit up compassion in me. You know, that people out there, kids especially, and they're struggling and they don't have the parents. Her mom was dead. And it's a short book, but I like that book. I also like, it's a book called Success Principles, Jack Canfield, and it calls to the greatness and the potential in me. So I like the Success Principle. And as far as writing, of all things, The Godfather, Mario Puzo I think his name is Puzo, Puzo. But I liked his book because he took me in a different world with his words. He took me in a different world, unlike my own. He kept me reading. And this was a book that was 300 or 400 pages, and I was 14. But because of his writing and the cliffhangers at the end, he kept me reading because he was such an excellent writer. And don't forget, I had an interest in writing, and I want to do the same thing. Entertain, take somebody in the world they have not been in before, and keep them engaged. He kept this 14-year-old engaged and saying, gosh, people could pick up a pen and they could write so until they could change someone's world.
Wow. Okay. The second author and book I was familiar with, but the first and third, I do plan to look up because I want to learn some things too. So perfect. Now, are you on social media? Do you have a website? How can people find you?
Well, the books are on Amazon.
Okay. Do you have an
And
author's page there?
well, no, not yet, to be honest. But
Okay.
I plan on setting up one. But they could, any of the books, if they go to Amazon, they will find the books. And my contact information is my name, Freeman Lucille @gmail.com. Freeman Lucille, double L's, Lucille @gmail.com. Okay. But one thing I have to say, because this is SPAA's writing authors podcast, let me just talk about Pastor Mike. And he's been inspirational to me because I talked about breadcrumbs and building. When I came to SPAA, and I came because one of my interests, the plays, and it was a creative community. So I came to SPAA, and Pastor Mike looked at me, and he saw, and I didn't see this, that I could write a play. I didn't know I could write a play, Jay, until Pastor Mike saw it in me, and he gave me an opportunity to do 3 plays. The Jackie Wilson, Lonely Teardrops, and you counting now. Mm-hmm. But I did Teddy.
Did you do the Teddy Pendergrass too?
Teddy Pendergrass, and I did one more. I'm thinking it'll come to me. I think the Marvin Gaye story, yeah. But I did 3, and what can I say? I didn't know I could do that. People sometimes see potential, and they see things and you don't see in yourself. And then what the missing component, people could give you opportunity. You've got to say yes to yourself, to the opportunities knocking on your door. And there's something I think about my one word. And my one word, Jay, is courage. Okay. Whether you're writing for people that want to write, hey, it takes courage.
It does.
Because you don't always get yes. Sometimes you get rejected. But I would say to the people that's listening to this podcast, to line yourself up with a group like SPAA. They will encourage you. Dr. Wilkins will make sure you get that book out. If you tell him you want to write a book, he will make sure it gets out. We have the training sessions twice a year. Thank God he's given me the honor of doing the writing training. We do the collaboration. If you don't want to do a full book on your own, we do collaborations. Mm-hmm. People need to find the people in the organizations doing what they want to do and stop telling yourself what you can't do. Find a way to do it, to write, and to take time for your writing self, and to say yes to the opportunities that come your way.
Yes, yes. So, Ms. Lucille, you segued into something that I want to kind of conclude with. You are over the writing contest for our SPAA organization, Speakers, Publishers, and Authors Association. And I want you to tell us, I know at the upcoming meeting, which is April 10th, I believe is the submission for the writing contest. Can you give us some details on that?
Well, you know what, Jay, you probably could give us some details because you won 2 years ago. You won. And and you took and you used the spirituals, which you put into collaboration. After winning the contest, you used the same piece and put in our collaboration book. Then you took it and you turned it into a book. So you probably could talk about it. It has been rewarding. and you, for whatever reason, you stopped writing, you started again, and you came out with a big blast. And so what I need to say is join us on April the 10th at 9:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our final training for writing for this year. But we have so much going on, and we're constantly writing. And one thing about writing, you need some accountability.
Yes.
And you need a group of like-minded people. A lot of my doors have been open because someone saw something in me, or they invited me to come in. And it's okay. Start where you are and come on and join SPAA and join us and give yourself a chance. Don't tell yourself no.
Yes, I totally agree. Totally agree. Thank you so much for doing this with me today, Miss Lucille. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And those of you that are listening, please be sure to join us April the 10th, 9:30 a.m. As Miss Lucille said. She is the facilitator and leader of our writing contest. And I won in 2019, plan to win in 2021. You can check out more on SPAA, www.spaatheater.org. That's SPAATheater.org. On behalf of Miss Lucille Usher Freeman, I'm Jay Collins. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you guys later.
Thank you, Jay.